On the morning of March 27, 1992, a shocking discovery was made at St. Pius VI Convent in Kottayam, Kerala. The lifeless body of Sister Abhaya, a 21-year-old nun, was found floating in the convent's well. A bright and devout member of the Syro-Malabar Catholic Church, Sister Abhaya was pursuing her studies at St. Oki Joseph's College of Engineering while residing at the convent. Her sudden and unexplained death sent shockwaves through the community, raising immediate suspicions. The local police, upon arriving at the scene, hastily concluded that her death was a suicide, citing no signs of struggle or foul play. This theory was met with fierce opposition from Sister Abhaya's family, who insisted that she was a cheerful and spiritually committed young woman with no reason to take her own life. Activists and local media also questioned the hasty suicide verdict, pointing out inconsistencies in the police investigation. As public pressure mounted, the case was transferred to the Kerala Crime Branch, which, after a superficial inquiry, reaffirmed the suicide theory. However, their findings were widely criticized for ignoring key evidence, including reports of bruises on her body and the unnatural positioning of her belongings near the well. The lack of a proper forensic examination and the refusal to consider witness testimonies deepened suspicions of a deliberate cover-up. The case took a darker turn when it was revealed that senior clergy members had allegedly pressured witnesses and influenced investigators to dismiss the possibility of murder. This led to widespread outrage, with human rights groups and legal experts demanding a thorough, independent probe. The growing outcry eventually forced the government to hand over the case to the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, in 1993, marking the beginning of a long and arduous battle for justice. The initial mishandling of the case not only delayed justice, but also exposed deep-seated institutional biases and the challenges of investigating crimes involving powerful religious figures. What was initially dismissed as a suicide would later unravel into one of Kerala's most infamous murder mysteries, spanning nearly 3 decades before the truth began to emerge. The growing public skepticism surrounding Sister Abhaya's death reached a critical point by 1993, with mounting evidence contradicting the official suicide narrative. Media investigations and human rights organizations had exposed glaring inconsistencies in the case, while the victim's family and activist groups like the Nuns Forum maintained relentless pressure for a proper investigation. This public outcry finally compelled the Kerala High Court to intervene, ordering the case's transfer to the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, a move that many hoped would finally uncover the truth. However, what followed was a frustrating cycle of bureaucratic delays and investigative failures that spanned nearly a decade. The CBI's initial probe between 1993 to 1996 made shockingly little progress, with the first investigation officer even closing the case as an accidental death in 1996. This controversial decision ignored crucial forensic evidence and sparked massive protests, forcing the agency to reopen the case in 1998 under a new team. The subsequent investigation faced unprecedented institutional resistance, with key witnesses suddenly changing their statements or refusing to cooperate, critical forensic reports mysteriously disappearing from police records, and disturbing alterations appearing in official documents, including a post-mortem report that had been quietly modified to downplay injury marks on Abhaya's body. A significant breakthrough finally came in 2005 when a newly assembled CBI team, led by SPR Srijith, applied modern forensic techniques to re-examine the case. Their painstaking work included 3D modeling of the well that conclusively disproved the suicide theory, fingerprint analysis that revealed unexplained prints on Abhaya's belongings, and a reconstructed timeline that exposed suspicious activities in the convent during the early hours of March 27th. The investigation took a dramatic turn when former convent staff members courageously came forward with critical information, including accounts that Abhaya had reportedly witnessed compromising behavior involving clergy members shortly before her death, details of heated arguments in the convent on the night of the incident, and observations about disturbed conditions at the well site that contradicted initial police reports. By 2007, after years of dogged investigation, the CBI had identified Father Thomas Couture, Father Jose Puthrakayil, and Sister Sefi as prime suspects. However, their eventual arrests in November 2008 came only after multiple interventions, including stern directives from the Kerala High Court in 2007, sustained pressure from a nationwide media campaign, and political intervention from then-Union Minister Kodaikunal Suresh. This prolonged phase of the investigation laid bare how powerful institutions could manipulate criminal probes, while simultaneously demonstrating that persistent public scrutiny and judicial oversight could eventually force accountability, even if it required an astonishing 15 years just to file formal charges in the case. The turning point in this decades-long case came in November 2008, when the CBI's Special Investigation Team finally pieced together a damning chain of evidence through meticulous forensic reconstruction. Using advanced 3D modeling technology, investigators recreated the crime scene with startling accuracy, proving that Sister Abhaya could not have entered the well voluntarily as claimed in the initial suicide theory. The forensic team's analysis revealed multiple unexplained bruises on her body, including defensive wounds on her hands, suggesting a violent struggle before her death. Crucially, the CBI uncovered that Sister Abhaya had unexpectedly returned to the convent around 3 a.m. on the night of her death after attending an overnight prayer service. Witness statements and forensic evidence indicated she had walked in on Father Thomas Couture, Father Jose Puthrakayil, and Sister Sefi in a compromising position in the convent's kitchen area. This shocking revelation formed the core of the CBI's motive theory, that the three accused, fearing exposure and scandal, had conspired to eliminate the young nun. The investigation revealed a chilling sequence of events. After the fateful encounter, the accused allegedly struck Sister Abhaya with a blunt object, rendering her unconscious. They then staged the scene to appear like suicide, carefully placing her slippers and prayer book near the well before dumping her body. Forensic experts noted that the position of her injuries and the lack of water in her lungs contradicted drowning, confirming she was dead before entering the well. The arrests sent shockwaves through Kerala's powerful Catholic establishment. During interrogation, Sister Sefi reportedly confessed to being present during the incident, though she later retracted this statement. The CBI's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence and witness accounts, as direct forensic proof was scarce after years of evidence tampering. Notably, the original autopsy surgeon admitted to pressure from superiors to rule the death a suicide, while several convent staff members testified about hearing loud arguments that night and seeing the accused priests acting suspiciously near the well in the early morning hours. This breakthrough marked a watershed moment in the case, transforming what had been dismissed as a simple suicide into one of India's most high-profile ecclesiastical crime scandals. The arrest demonstrated that even after 16 years, determined investigative work could overcome institutional obstruction and bring powerful suspects to justice. The legal proceedings following the 2008 arrests proved to be as complex and protracted as the investigation itself. The trial faced numerous obstacles from the outset, with frequent adjournments, repeated witness retractions, and allegations of external pressure on the judicial process. Several key witnesses who had initially provided crucial testimony later changed their statements in court, while others became unavailable or uncooperative as the years passed. The defense teams for the accused employed various legal strategies to delay proceedings, filing multiple petitions and appeals that stretched out the timeline. After 12 years of legal wrangling following the arrests, the special CBI court in Thiruvananthapuram finally reached its verdict on December 22, 2020. In a landmark judgment that came 28 years after the crime, the court convicted Father Thomas Kotor and Sister Sephi of murder, accepting the prosecution's argument that they had killed Sister Abhaya to prevent her from exposing their inappropriate conduct. The following day, both were sentenced to life imprisonment, with the judge noting the calculated nature of the crime and the extensive cover-up that followed. However, in a partial victory for the defense, Father Jose Puthricail was acquitted, with the court finding that while there was circumstantial evidence suggesting his involvement, the prosecution had failed to establish his guilt beyond reasonable doubt. This split verdict sparked mixed reactions. While activists and the victim's family welcomed the convictions as long overdue justice, others questioned how two could be found guilty, while the third accused walked free in what was alleged to be a collaborative crime. The judgment brought some closure to a case that had become emblematic of both the challenges in prosecuting crimes involving powerful religious institutions and the perseverance required to pursue justice against all odds. Yet even after the verdict, the legal saga continued, as the convicted parties promptly filed appeals challenging their convictions, ensuring that the case would remain in the judicial system for years to come. The Kerala High Court's subsequent decision in 2022 to grant bail to the convicted individuals pending their appeals further extended the legal process, leaving many to wonder if the full truth would ever be conclusively established. The legal saga took another unexpected turn in 2022 when the Kerala High Court granted conditional bail to the convicted parties while their appeals remained pending. This decision came barely 2 years after their life sentences were handed down, raising eyebrows among legal observers and reigniting public debate about the case. The court cited the extended period of incarceration during trial proceedings and the likelihood of prolonged appellate processes as key factors in its ruling, while emphasizing that the bail did not constitute any judgment on the merits of their convictions. The move drew sharp criticism from women's rights groups and social activists, who viewed it as yet another setback in the decades-long struggle for justice. Sister Abhaya's aging parents expressed profound disappointment, fearing the decision might indefinitely delay final resolution of the case. Legal experts noted the unusual nature of bail being granted in such a high-profile murder conviction, with some speculating about potential political undercurrents influencing the judiciary. Meanwhile, the appellate process continued at a sluggish pace, hampered by procedural delays and the voluminous case records spanning nearly 3 decades. The bail conditions imposed strict travel restrictions and required regular court appearances, though critics argued these measures did little to address concerns about potential witness tampering or evidence manipulation that had plagued earlier stages of the investigation. As the convicted individuals resumed their lives outside prison, the case entered what many saw as its final, uncertain phase, with the possibility of either vindication or reaffirmation of guilt hanging in the balance. The development left Kerala society deeply divided, with some viewing it as a reasonable accommodation of legal rights and others as yet another example of how power and privilege can bend the arc of justice. The Sister Abhaya case has left an indelible mark on India's legal and social landscape, standing as a sobering testament to the systemic challenges in delivering justice. Spanning 3 decades from crime to conviction, the case exposed deep fault lines in India's criminal justice system, from initial investigative failures and evidence mishandling to institutional resistance and witness intimidation. It became a textbook example of how cases involving powerful religious institutions can become mired in procedural delays and political interference, with truth becoming increasingly elusive as years pass. Beyond its legal dimensions, the case sparked nationwide conversations about accountability within religious institutions and the treatment of women in monastic life. It inspired several legislative reforms aimed at protecting whistleblowers and strengthening investigative protocols in sensitive cases. The relentless efforts of activists, journalists, and Sister Abhaya's family kept the case alive in public memory, demonstrating how civil society can challenge entrenched power structures. Yet fundamental questions linger about whether the verdict delivered true justice. The acquittal of one accused, the subsequent bail grants, and the many unanswered questions about the crime's circumstances continue to fuel debate. The case serves as both a warning about institutional impunity and a rare example of perseverance overcoming systemic obstacles. Though many believe the full truth died with Sister Abhaya in that convent well. Its legacy endures in ongoing efforts to reform India's justice system and protect vulnerable individuals within powerful institutions. The Sister Abhaya case remains one of India's most haunting, unsolved mysteries, exposing the dark intersections of power, religion, and justice. While the convictions brought a measure of closure, many questions linger. Proof that even after decades, the truth can still be elusive. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more shocking true crime stories from around the world. Every case we uncover reminds us to question, to seek truth, and to never stop demanding justice. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant. This is Crime Tales Across Times. Signing off. Follow us for more deep dives into history's most chilling crimes.